Hello and welcome to Bike Channel Kenya. I'm Kaveki, your host, and today we are looking at the mighty Yamaha R1, and not just any R1 but the R1m. Everything you wanted to know about it will be covered here. Now, if you were riding in 2015, you know that 2015 was like a golden year for new bikes, or rather evolutions of previous models. I mean, we got the second generation S1000, we got the new ZX10, we got new bikes like the GSX 1000F, and it was also the year we got the much publicized Kawasaki Ninja H2. And lastly, we got the much awaited new Yamaha R1, which was a complete redesign from the model it was replacing. And not only did Yamaha bring a new fresh look to the R1, but they also did the philosophy for road-friendly bikes, which they'd been using since 2007 to more track-focused bikes. And now for the first time ever, Yamaha introduced a race-focused R1 version of the R1, which they called the R1m, which is a close copy, at least visually, of the M1, which is their MotoGP bike. Now that we are up to speed, let's start with the looks, which, like I've stated, they come straight from their MotoGP bikes of the 2012 to 2014 era. In fact, when they are put side by side, I can't make tails or heads of the two. The first thing you notice is the huge ram air intake in the front of the bike and those projector LED lights. And I also like the way they designed the tail, which makes the bike look aggressive and something straight out of a sci-fi movie. And this being the M version of the standard R1, it is covered with carbon fiber and has magnesium wheels, which make it very light. But I'll come back to that in a moment. Now let's get into the electronics, and I don't want to bore you with the common things you find on bikes these days like traction control, anti-wheelie ABS and so on. What is unique about the R1 that is from 2015 is what they call the slide control. And what that basically means is if you go full throttle on corner exit, the ECU will detect the sideward movement and cut the power and limit the slide to only 5%, which is the limit between traction and crashing. And what is even more impressive is this system, or rather the software, was taken straight out of the 2012 MotoGP bike. So basically you are riding with the same software Lorenzo and Rossi were using back in 2012. Now let me just show you the system in action so that you can know what I'm talking about. Yes, you can do that with this bike. And while still on the electronics, it has a 6-axis gyroscope which measures the movement of the bike from front to back, left to right, which is leaning, and now they introduced the side to side, which is what the slide control uses to calculate how much power it will limit in case of a slide. This is a different system from the traction control. And now to the engine. From 2009, R1 has been using the crossplane crankshaft, and this is different in the sense that it fires differently from the conventional inline fours and produces among the best sounds in the automotive world, especially when coupled to a quick shifter. Let's just listen to that sweet sound for a moment. The engine produces 200 brake horsepower and 112 Newton meters of torque. That horsepower and torque combination is good for a top speed of about 330 kilometers if you can find the road without traffic or a racetrack. And now we come to the handling, which is the standout feature of the R1. I mean, where do I even begin? With the M1 fitted with magnesium wheels and sprinkled with carbon fiber everywhere, and most important of all-in semi-active suspension. I know it may sound cliche at this point, but the chassis handles so well, it literally feels like a train on rails. I mean, once the tires are wound up, just look where you want to go and there you shall go. Changing direction is effortless since it has those magnesium wheels, and as you know, low unsprung mass is one of the indicators of a good handling bike. You know, this is the first bike I have ever reviewed and wished I could take it to a track big enough to test it to the limit. But for now, since we don't have a racetrack big enough, that is, you can only go to the mountains where there are cars and you really can't do more than 50% of the bike. So it is a shame. And now to the cost. This being the R1m, it goes for a staggering 2.7 million Kenyan shillings. So if we divide that by 3.5%, your insurance premium will be 95,000 Kenyan shillings per year. For the service, it takes 4 liters of synthetic Yamaha lube or Motul. And with a liter going for 1,500 Kenyan shillings, that is 6,000. The oil filter will be 2,000 and labor of about 750 to 1,000 Kenyan shillings. And if you're doing the plugs, that will be 2,000 Kenyan shillings per piece. So add another 8,000. But for the most part, the basic oil change will be 9,000. That is everything. And since this isn't a bike you use every day, by the time you do those 5,000 kilometers, it could be a year or even 2. The other cost will be tires. Now, this bike comes equipped with supercruisers, and as you know, these are designed for track days. After all, this is a race bike, basically with side mirrors. So, the tires are very sticky and soft, meaning they will wear out quickly. So, they will be good for around 5,000 kilometers or 6,000 kilometers if you push them. And a set goes for 30,000 Kenyan shillings. And now, to the fuel. This being the M version of the standard R1, the fuel mapping in the ECU is designed for one speed, and that is full throttle. So while the standard R1 does 17 to 20 kilometers per liter, this one does 12 to 14 kilometers per liter, and that is V-power. So you have a range of about 230 kilometers. And trust me, by the time you're done with those 230 kilometers, you'll need a break, especially if you are cruising on the highway, because your back and wrists will be on fire, especially if you're a tall guy like me. There's nothing like the perfect bike, and this one is no different. The only issue I had with the R1, and Yamaha are notorious for this, is the on and off throttle response. When you close the throttle and open it back again, there's like a small jerk. And this is known for all Yamaha big CC bikes. What they basically do is they lean out the fuel so that they can pass emissions. So if this were my bike, the first thing I'll do is get the ECU flashed so that I can get a good, smooth throttle response. Other than that, I loved it to bits. So there you go. Yes, it is expensive to buy and maintain, but then again, it is a dream bike. So by the time you buy one, you already know what you're getting yourself into. If you enjoyed the video, I had a lot of fun riding this bike. Smash that like button for the algorithm to share the video to more people. See you on the next one. Ciao.